we're going to clear some things up because I have a good feeling that you're being misled, and I don't like that. So let's set some things straight. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Brian Simmons here with eXp Realty. It is June 15th. And I just want to remind everybody to please like, subscribe, and share this channel with your family and friends on the social medias. Really would appreciate that. So let's go ahead and dive right into the data from this past week. Okay, so looking at Jackson and Josephine counties, right now we have 1,103 active single-family residential listings between the two counties, okay, and that's for about 300,000 people. 156 new listings hit the market in the last 7 days. That is down from last week. 134 price changes, also down from last week and below our 6-week average. 29 listings came back on the market, also down from last week and below our 6-week average. 96 pending. Oh, that's tough. That's the lowest we've seen all year, aside from the very first week of the year. So that's tough. 123 closed, which is actually up from last week and above our 6-week average. And 48 were either expired, withdrawn, or canceled. All of that brings us to 8.97 weeks worth of inventory, looking at a snapshot of just that 1 week. So, wow. I mean, that is a low pending number. That is my favorite indicator of what's going on out there. And man, I don't really have a good reason for why that is, other than just that the rates blew up from 5.5% to 6.25% in the week. And so that clearly must have shocked some buyers and caused them to pump the brakes a little bit. So that's really the only thing I can think of that would have caused such a decline. And we'll see if that's a trend and see if that carries into next week or if that's just a 1 week deal. Which can happen. So let's get to this clarity conversation, okay? There's a lot of misleading going on out there, primarily from news headlines and people who don't know what they're talking about, frankly. But they want to be, the smart guy in the room who calls the big housing crash and that sort of stuff. So I think they need to just turn off the Big Short movie and focus on what they know, because it's clearly not the housing market. Or maybe maybe they should turn that movie back on so they can see how different the housing market was in 2008 and 9 before we had the big crash, and they can realize that that's not anywhere near where we're at in this market. Okay, so it's vastly different, not even in the same realm, with regulations that are different, with inventory levels that are different, with lending, all the lending practices, it's just night and day different. So yeah, the armchair quarterback is out in full force. They have moved to the real estate industry. They're telling everybody how the market's going to crash, and they know because they bought a house once, so just trust them, okay? So that's misleading, in my opinion. So let's look at some of the data to actually clear some of that up. All right, there's two big questions that I've been hearing a lot, and that is, number one, are we still in a seller's market, or have we converted over to buyer's market? And number two, is the economy, if the economy goes into a recession, which is looking like it's going to happen, if that happens, does that mean the housing market is going to crash too? And so let's talk about number one first. So what is a neutral market, right? That's important to know, because a seller's market is when, the market conditions more favor a seller. That's what we've been in for a long time. That's why people are getting multiple offers on their homes and those sorts of things. Buyer's market is the opposite of that, where there's so much inventory and things that favors a buyer. Okay, so neutral is just a healthy market where everybody's, in equilibrium and things are fine. So a healthy market, though, or a neutral market, as defined by a website called The Balance, who does a lot of really good analysis into the real estate industry, and they say that a neutral market is where homes are selling in 30 to 45 days. Okay, that's one metric. And where the months of inventory, or the absorption rate, is 6 months. Okay, and so where do we stack up? Well, right now in Jackson County, our months worth of inventory is about 2. And in Josephine County, it's about 2.8. Okay, and again, neutral 6. So we're not even halfway there. Okay, in terms of the homes selling in 30 to 45 days, in Jackson County in May, we were at 22.8. In Josephine County, we were 30.9. So just almost there in Josephine County, according to one metric. But if you look at all those together, we're still not We're still not there. So the answer to that is we're still in a seller's market. That is quite obvious. Okay, definitely not in a buyer's market, not even in a neutral market. Still very much in a seller's market. Now let's talk about the economy, because I think this is where there's really a lot of confusion, and where I think there needs to be a lot of clarity. People are talking about that, there's this belief that when the economy goes a specific direction, whether that's up or down, that all of the markets within the economy are also going to go that same direction. And that's just not how it works, okay? The economy is largely misunderstood. And so that's just why I want to kind of break this down. And I think a good analogy is if you think of the human body, okay? The human body is very, very complex, and it's made up of a lot of different systems, right? You have your respiratory system, your nervous system, your cardiovascular system, your reproductive system, skeletal system, muscular system, and on, right? And the goal is to have good health across all those systems, right? Those systems are connected, some more than others, obviously, but they're also independent of each other, meaning that you could have a heart condition that doesn't necessarily impact your skeletal system, okay? You could have a respiratory problem that doesn't necessarily impact your reproductive system. In fact, you could even have a body that's largely unhealthy overall, but still has some systems that are healthy, okay? And that's very similar to how the U.S. economy works. The economy is the body, okay? And the systems are the various markets within the body, or within the economy, okay? And so, in the economy, we have the stock market, the bond market, the housing market, the labor market. We have all these different markets within the economy, all right? And it's possible to have the overall economy be unhealthy and in a recession, but still maintain a healthy housing market, per se, okay? In other words, a recession does not necessarily mean that the housing market is going to collapse, okay? And historically, more often than not, it goes the opposite, okay? Historically, home values actually go up more often than not during a recession than they do go down. Let's take a look at that. So this price shows the median sales price of homes sold in the United States since the 60s, okay? The shaded areas are recessions that have been on record, okay? And the arrows, the line here is the average or the median sales price. So you can see in each one of these recessions what had actually happened to the home prices, okay? The median sales price. So in the 70s, that went down slightly. I mean, hardly at all during that recession. In this recession, it went up, 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 up. This was the Great Recession, which was what you saw in the movie The Big Short and what we all experienced in 2008-9 back then, where the housing market is what caused the recession. So clearly you saw a huge reduction in the median sales price at that point. And then this one in 2020 is probably not even really fair to call a recession, but you can if you want to. But that was when COVID happened, and the first couple months they technically called it a recession. But I would put an asterisk next to that one because I don't think that truly is a relevant look, because look what it did right after. But anyways, you can see here in more often than not, like I said, the data shows that the home values actually appreciated during a period of recession. And so I just want to be absolutely crystal clear about this. I am 100% emphatically in support of buying now instead of waiting to see some sort of crash happen in home prices, okay? And if you're one of those that's saying, look, I'm going to wait until the market crashes because it just has to, okay? Just please be honest with yourself about what you actually know about this topic, okay? Not what you heard from your uncle who is a plumber, who knows a contractor, who knows a guy who did some deals and knows a little bit about real estate. Like, just stop, okay? It's like telling your doctor that your hairdresser told you that essential oils will cure cancer. Like, come on, okay? no offense to any hairdressers or essential oil enthusiasts, but the reality is just trust people that actually are in this, doing this every day, and are supporting what they're saying with data. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, stick to what you know. Okay, and this is what I know, and I can tell you, like, it is an absolute fact, and I just showed you in the chart, is an absolute fact that a recession does not automatically equate to a housing market crash. Okay, that's irrefutable fact. Okay, one can cause the other, can happen, but it is not always, and that's what you saw in that chart. Okay, and so buyers, if you're thinking about buying, just think clearly, right? Talk to people who know what they're doing, who are in this every day. And if you don't trust me because you think that I'm just here trying to sell you a house, look at the data I showed you. Like, don't trust me. That's fine. But look at the data, okay? Look at the numbers and draw your own conclusions, okay? Look at that chart that showed you what happens to home values during recessions and draw your own conclusions on that. But the reality is that I'm here to help you, right? It's not in my best interest at all to mislead myself and everybody else. Like, that's not good for my business. That's not good for my reputation. And ultimately, my reputation is what matters. So the more I can help you make good decisions for yourself, for your future, that's the more I'm going to get the benefit of that, right? So that's all I'm trying to say, is that just trust that, trust the data. That's really what it comes down to. Trust the data. Look at it, trust it. Okay? That's all I have for you today. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this channel. And be sure to check out the full version of this newsletter so you can see all my favorite listings and some buyer needs. And maybe you know somebody that's willing to sell and can meet one of those needs. So as always, anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'll see you next week. Have a good one.